183.7 kilometres for the race sandwiched between Ghent-Wevelgem and the Tour of Flanders, and a real classic in its own right. Most of the route for this edition of the race taking place in the lumpy Flemish Ardennes, starting in Roeselare and finishing in Waregem, with a small finishing circuit that will ultimately determine this beautiful warm-up race for the Tour of Flanders, giving us an insight into who will perform in De Ronde. So a lumpy parcours, a slightly shorter distance, 183.7 k's, but an early break soon went clear, including Alexander Kristoff of Uno X Pro Cycling and Movistar's Oya Lazcano. The team behind that were doing a lot of the chasing were Trek Segafredo, a staccato style, slowing down on the climbs and then opening things up in the crosswind sections. With about 83 k's to go, the break enjoyed a lead of around 2 3/4 minutes as we headed into the dense section of multiple climbs. Julien Alaphilippe accelerated for Soudal Quickstep on the lower slopes of one of these climbs. He unchipped his chain, and unfortunately for Tim Merlier, he crashed and was taken out of the race. Meanwhile, Tiesj Benoot was on the offensive for Jumbo-Visma, trying to form a counter-attacking group, and eventually drew the sting of Quentin Hermans, and also from the United States of America, Neilson Powless, who was really in flying form. This group eventually coalesced to have 10 chasers in between the bedraggled peloton, which was constantly being reduced. 31 k's to go, and we only had a couple of riders out in front. Tim Willems had missed the second group on the road. UET Emirates not represented in that group. He tried in vain to go clear, but meanwhile there were 2 riders out in front. From Movistar, Oya Lazcano, the 23-year-old, and the veteran Alexander Kristoff of Uno X Pro Cycling. They were eventually caught with only just under 6 kilometres to go. It was a brave performance. Meanwhile, Soudal Quickstep, who'd missed that move out in front, were trying to bring things back. Mikel Honore tried a move, but was closely flanked by Tiesj Benoot, one of 2 members of Jumbo-Visma in that group. Christophe Laporte also there. Jonathan Narvaez there from the Ineos Grenadiers as well. Valentin Madouer there in the navy blue of FDJ. Then there was an attack on the left-hand side. Biding his time, it was Christophe Laporte, already a winner in Ghent-Wevelgem. And remember, Jumbo-Visma had won every single Cobble Classic. Het Nieuwsblad, E3, Ghent-Wevelgem, and it looked as if they were going to take victory in Dwars Door Vlaanderen. There was a late counter-attack by Neilson Powless, and a very brave move by Oya Lazcano, the Spaniard, who'd been away all day. They were fighting gamely for a place on the podium, but coming into the final kilometre, Christophe Laporte, in imperious form, looked set fair to take another victory. Back-to-back victories for the Frenchman, and what a show of strength and style, panache and verve. Jumbo-Visma, absolutely unstoppable. 2 wins from 2 and 5 wins from 5 for Jumbo-Visma. An important solo win there for Christophe Laporte. It was an absolute nail-biter, a thriller for the next 2 steps on the podium. Eventually it was the Spaniard. Smile with delight as he crossed the line. Lazcano in second place. Third place went there to Neilson Powless. It was congratulations all round for the Frenchman, and an impeccable season so far for the all-conquering Jumbo-Visma team. And there was the moment. He wrote history. Jumbo-Visma 5 wins from 5, which augurs well ahead of De Ronde. So Christophe Laporte took the win ahead of Oya Lazcano Lopez of Movistar. Neilson Powless rounding out the podium. Then we have Jesper Philipsen, Mads Pedersen, Arnaud Delis, David Ballerini, André Pasqualon, Oliver Lagac and Nils Pollitt. So Laporte adding another Cobble Classic to his palmares ahead of a delighted Lazcano and an in-form Neilson Powless. Well, I hope that whetted the appetite ahead of De Ronde on Sunday.